Media days in Indianapolis. Jim Scarcelli on a Wednesday on the Maize and Blue Review. Good afternoon, Michigan football. Scar, unofficial start of the college football season. When they gather in Indianapolis, you may say you wait till training camp or whatever it is, but it's pretty close. Whatever your unofficial start to the season is, it's getting ready as we get ready to turn the calendar with all the coaches and everything there in Indianapolis on the 24th of July.
Yeah, the Wolverines report July 31st. Now, I don't know if the freshmen come in early like back in my day. The freshmen came in 3 days early, and you got acclimated, and you got some good coaching. But Danny, I remember that day. I mean, it's like a distinct moment in your life. Your parents drop you off at South Quad. Okay, good luck. That's it, man. No more mom and dad's house. You are now on your own. And Coach Schembeck told my mom and dad, I'm going to look after this guy. I'm going to take care of him. But yeah, hey, that's so a lot of these guys are going to be facing that. But no more dorm, Danny. They don't stay in the dorm anymore. They go in air-conditioned hotels. Totally different deal. We were in that hot, miserable August, no air conditioning dorm. But a week from the day of the report, and it's going.
Do the dorms have air conditioning now? Like if they
yeah, now everybody's got air. Everything's nice. We had nothing but heat.
The Green Bay Packers still, I think, it's just up to a couple of years ago. Maybe they've changed it, but they go to wherever they go and they just stay in the dorms. And I can remember hearing stories about, no AC, it's miserable and everything else. So,
I mean, if you had AC at the dorm would have been fine, South Quad, but it was hot. It was, it was miserable, but
no AC, it's miserable.
But anyway, that's I just remember that moment, and they're some of these guys are getting dropped off and on your own, man. Time to grow up.
That's it. Well, Scar, it's time to talk about Michigan and the quarterback position today. You sent a text about, let's see, why Michigan will have two quarterback systems. So we'll get to that coming up. Wisdom from Jim Scarcelli, the former Wolverine and longtime high school coach. But we start with media days, like we mentioned, Michigan and the other 17 schools in the Big Ten are all there taking their time. The coach going up, making some remarks, answering some questions, and they go and sit down with a panel there from the Big Ten Network. You can watch endless hours of it. I've watched a few. What has jumped out to you so far?
Just knowing, listen to these coaches. There's some really highly intelligent, good football coaches, man. Those guys are, there's no stiffs, man, coaching the Big Ten. I remember being a high school coach. We would have our coaches meetings, and you listen to all the different coaches, and you're like, man, these 3 or 4 guys are just lamb chops. They're not, they're missing it here, there, whatever. There's 3 or 4 guys that are really good, a couple guys in between. But when you hear these Big Ten coaches talk, you're like, man, where's the weak link? Who's a weak coach? So I'm impressed with, these coaches, how they talk. But Schiano made a good point, Danny. Something that you don't really think about that I think matters, because I think tradition matters. You say, what the hell does having Michigan been great, for 120 years have to do with recruiting? But it does matter. And, he made a point. He's like, we're new to this. We're new to big time football. They weren't in big time football until they got into they were in the Big East, but those are points that matter in terms of tradition and building something. But Fickle talked about the need that you have to be able to be ready to play 22 on offense and 22 on defense. And, we've talked about it, and, it's like what you do now, man. You don't just get them ready in case of injury. You get them ready because they're going to play.
Yeah, well, you missed the UCLA head coach, Deshaun Foster. He got up there and was completely looked overwhelmed by the moment. I don't know if he tried to tell a joke about where LA is or UCLA is, and then was looking for some reaction. And then he didn't get it. And then he just stood there like with his eyes, like when you have to give a speech when you're in ninth grade and something, you don't want to get up there in front of the class and you're nerve. That's how he looked. You know, Luke Fickell, I'm not really interested in Wisconsin this year. He's in his second year, but I am interested. Hopefully, I'll be able to take in the game on week 3. Wisconsin's hosting Alabama. I'm looking forward to that. The one thing that jumped out to me was the coach of the year from last year, David Braun, who was an interim head coach. Now he's got a long deal. They were showing, I thought they were going to play their games in their practice facility, but they have built a 15,000 mini stadium right on the water. You could just throw a football underhanded. It's going to land in Lake Michigan. And then in the background, it's Chicago. And then they were showing the tailgate area. I had been out there on that little peninsula. Somebody told me they filled that in like a landfill. But man, it is so beautiful out there. I don't know how Northwestern. I don't know if I'm taking in any of their games. They'll play Ohio State, Michigan back to back. But man, that place. They may want to rethink it once they get in that and just see how sweet it is.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I did focus, Denny, mainly on the guys that we're going to play. I did listen to Fickell for a little bit, but yeah, I listened to Braun also. And the thing about him that's interesting, the offensive coordinator he hired was from South Dakota State, and they were kind of unique in some of the things they did. They want to run the football. They run it. They do some unique things. So it'll be interesting. They want to smash mouth. A lot of Michigan stuff. But it wasn't no, spread type stuff, offense at South Dakota State. So he hired him, Denny, because he had to defend him when he was at North Dakota State. One thing when you're a defensive coach, a good offensive coordinator when you have to defend them. It isn't just based on talent. You know the guys that give you problems schematically, Did they feed you? Yeah, we ate good but you know what, Scott? During training camp, you were just so darn tired, especially when it was hot. You came into that after practice, you just didn't have much of an appetite. It was tough, man. But yeah, we ate well. But anyway, I'm impressed with that Braun guy. I'm interested to see what his offense looks like because he's hired a guy who was the coordinator at South Dakota State, and we do play them late in the year.
Yeah, Brett Bielema couldn't be I think his 17th year as a head coach, and he had been in the Big Ten, and then he went down to the SEC. He just couldn't have been more happy to be in the position that he was. He loves being a coach. He loves Big Ten. He loves Illinois. He's not taking any of it for granted, man. He just stood up there. He just he knew that he knows that he's got one of the greatest jobs in the world. And, he was appreciative. That came across, watching him a little bit, pretty much what he said.
Yeah, the guy's a good coach. He plays good defense, man. And we got to go there late in the year. And you know what they did to us defensively 2 years ago? The guy can coach. He can coach defense. He played nose guard at Iowa for Hayden Fry under Barry Alvarez. So he's worked with good people. We got to go there. I did listen to him too. Listen to him. And that's one of them games you better be ready to play, man. You go on the road to Champaign because that guy will coach defense.
I didn't see Ryan Day up at the podium, but I did see him sitting down with the panel for the Big Ten Network. And then I saw their players that were there. And the first question that came today was, is it, in essence, the question was, is it national championship or bust? And he pretty much said, that's it. That's what they're doing. That's why these guys came back. And the players, they were talking gold pants. They don't have any. And they wanted to beat the team up north. If I'd give one, whoever the young lady was on Big Ten Network, she did a fine job asking all the different players questions and everything else. But I don't know. It seemed kind of lame when she was over there saying, and what about the team up there, whatever? What do they call it? Team up north? And you know, it's just, she's like, I thought maybe she was an Ohio State broadcaster, but you know, she's just and maybe in her background, maybe she is, but it was like
Denny, the
psychology came off as a big time homer is what it was.
The psychology of a coach that you take prior to a season. I saw Bo take different approaches based on what he thought he needed. Did we need confidence? Did we need what did we need? Kicking the butt, whatever. You gauge that. But it's interesting that Ryan Day is like, he's embracing it. We got all these great players. It's national championship. We got quarterbacks. We got running backs. We got, he's basically, in a way, I kind of understand it. He's basically telling all those players that you guys think you're all so good. Everybody's telling you how great you are. Well, you better play and you better practice every day to prepare and play like you think you are, or everybody thinks you are. So I kind of understand the psychology of him going at it from that standpoint. Like, yeah, we're great. Everybody's telling you great, and you better prepare like that.
Yeah, they got a long way to go because they haven't played a game yet. But there's a lot of parallels when you think about Michigan's team last year and then Ohio State's team this year. They had a bunch of players that could have gone pro, but came back because they had unfinished business. That was one thing that Michigan had that is similar. Also, they got a super easy non-conference schedule. You could say of kind of an easy schedule overall. They have to go to Oregon and Penn State. We know they play Michigan at home, but they don't play anybody in the non-conference. That's like Michigan the last 2 years. There was zero resistance there. So the schedule sets up for them nice there. And also that last year at this time, that's what we were saying. Michigan had gone there finally. The winning the Big Ten was great and beating Ohio State twice and then getting to the college football playoff. But they wanted to take that next step. And so that was, there was no secret. They were bringing that, they were taking that on. And from Ohio State standpoint, they're doing the same thing. I see those similarities there. They probably have, pound for pound, the most talent. I know people want to say, well, I don't know, the quarterback. Yeah. Offensive line. Sure.
I don't know, Danny. We'll see, man. I'll take our edge guys. I'll take our front five on defense. You can have that Tumalua and Jack Sawyer. You give me Josiah Stewart. You give me Mason Graham. You give me Moore. They can have those guys, man. And we don't know what kind of quarterback they got. We had JJ coming back. We don't know what kind of quarterback play they're going to get. I've seen that kid play. Average passer, good runner. Is he going to be there for 12 games if they run him that much? You want to run that kid? Okay. Anyway, I'm not all that. No. We can buckle up and line up any day of the week with what they're putting on the field.
You're not handing Ohio State the trophy?
No, hell no.
Okay. All right. That's okay. I like it.
They got question marks. We got some question marks, but we got great, they got great players. We got great players. Our young, by the time we see them, Gentry will be, these guys will be veterans.
All right. Anybody else that you saw out there? I'll give one more. Jonathan Smith, the head coach at Michigan State, got up there, and the question was, he was coach at Oregon State, and I guess Michigan State's going up to Oregon. So the guy's like, I guess you didn't have a lot of green, back in the day, kind of a funny question. And Jonathan Smith said, I do have green eyes. So the coach, I don't know. There's not many guys. I don't know how many, you get those green eyes. Jonathan Smith, a coach with green eyes. So
well, all I'm going to say about this, I respect the hell out of that coach. I appreciate what he's done. That game ain't going to be no joke. I'll tell you that right now. It ain't going to be like last year. It's going to be a battle. Yeah, somebody had a question about, receiver play. What are we going to get? I think, Samaj Morgan is the guy we're all looking at. He's –
you agree with this question or what? Actually the statement, we need a wide receiver to step up if we want to have an elite season. Go ahead and tackle that question.
Well, yeah, Denny, my knowledge of some of the receivers in it, because there are a lot of young guys, but Morgan is one of the key guys coming back. And yeah, you got to have we're going to have an empty offense, empty formation. We get 3rd and 10, we might have one tight end in the game or at times. So we have to have who's going to be, but listen, we've recruited good players and the Fresno game is key, man. We're going to be really watching a lot of these young guys, a lot of these receivers that were backups last year. and they're going to get a chance, and then you're going to say, wow, we recruited some players, and that question is answered. That's what the coaches are hoping for.
Yeah, I think we're already, if he's not already a superstar, Colston Loveland looks like he's a superstar. Samaj Morgan he was just a true freshman last year. He put up, some incredible games, especially in the big time return and the Big Ten championship game. That wasn't it though. He could run through traffic. Tyler Morris, they've got, I think, the wide receivers. The question to me is, are these receivers, you have receivers and then you have guys that can catch contested footballs. And I don't know, with Orji, if he's the quarterback, he's going to need some help. Any quarterback would, first-time quarterback, but especially one that you're wondering or you're questioning his accuracy. Can you get a receiver that can stand out there and win those 50-50 balls? That whoever that's going to be, that seems like it would be a big deal to me.
Yeah, and then, just catch the ball, man, and then make people miss after the catch. Who's the guy that we can throw the bubble screen to? Who's that guy? We want to be able to run jet sweep with them. Those things that we did with, we did with Roman, man. We got to have those plays are a big part of our offense.
Now, Scar, I don't think you planned on coming in being controversial, but if you were working in radio and we were sitting around in a meeting and you said, I want to talk about running two quarterbacks, for Michigan, everybody would be like, whoa, that's a pretty hot one. You're coming in real hot.
Listen. Here's what I mean by that. Okay, I'm going to put on my former edge player hat, and then I'm going to put on my former defensive coordinator at the high school level hat. Okay, so here's the deal. Okay, who do I want to defend at Michigan, and what do I not want to defend? Okay, the coach said it's going to be Tuttle, Orji, or Davis, right? That's what the offensive coordinator said. You saw that quote, right? Those are the three guys leading them out. Okay, if I just
Davis Warren or Jaden Davis? Davis Warren, right? So there's two Davis.
Yeah, Davis Warren. Okay.
Yeah, okay. There's
those are the three guys.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so here's the deal. If I just have to defend Tuttle the whole game, there's an ease in that. I don't have to, as a coach, I don't have to game plan for that Orji package. As a player, I don't have to game plan for it. It's not a problem. If I just have to game plan for Orji, I know what I'm getting. I'm getting a whole hell of a lot of quarterback run. But now I'm going to put on my head coach of Michigan hat that I've been. And Denny, I played against guys. They want to run their quarterback out of the spread stuff. And then by week 3 or 4, their quarterback is all smashed up and they whine about their quarterback being hurt. Okay, so you put on that hat as the head coach at Michigan. I know how effective Orji is and how dangerous defenses don't want to deal with him. But at the same time, I got to have him ready game 12. He's got to be there game 12. He's got to play the whole season. Okay, so and then what is Davis Warren? Just defending Davis Warren, that's, again, I don't have to deal with the Orji package. So now, Denny, we had the Orji package against Ohio State last year. He played a lot. He got enough. He got like 8 reps, 10 reps. What I think is going to happen, and I'd be willing to bet on this. I think it's going to be Tuttle because I think this what separates him. I just think his accuracy in having played and started many games. But I think you're going to see an extended Orji package. And you know what I think hurts Orji in terms of being our starter? Is because of the what I'm saying about the guy has to be there for 12 games. And what makes him so effective is his ability to run the football. And if you don't run him, Michigan's offense is easy to defend. It's a little easier to defend him unless he shows us that he can really, really throw the football. So what I'm trying to say is Michigan, from a game plan, for a coach, for a player perspective, is harder to defend if you have a serious orgy package along with someone else. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I don't like it for a lot of reasons. The first one would be is that you've got Sharon Moore as a first-time head coach. You go in juggling quarterbacks, you're gonna get tar and feathered by every.
Let me jump in real quick. I'm not talking. I'm thinking what you're going to see from Orgy if there's 80 plays on offense, 15 to 20.
Yeah, I still, the thing about a young team that has to grow together, that has a brand new offensive line, has 10 players on the offensive side, an entire new offensive or defensive coaching staff, new head coach. You need to lean on a few things. You can't be all willy-nilly around with, we don't know what we're going to play. We'll see what quarterback we're going to do. Those players need to look at that guy in the huddle and know that's their guy. And it's not going to be, if Orgy comes in and he's running well, there's so many things that can go on where
we did it last year, Denny, with JJ.
And no, you didn't do it last year with Jay. You put Orgy in for a play.
No, he
for a play or two. And the thing is, well, remember, you also had one of the top 3 coaches in all of college football. Sharon Moore is not that right now. So you get in, charge it in. You're dividing your team. You're throwing gasoline on
ain't dividing nothing
situation. I'm telling you, well, Scar, why do all the NFL? Why does John Harbaugh play Lamar Jackson? Is he thinking, well, let's get somebody else in there so they have to plan it? No, you play your best guy.
Yeah, well,
Josh Allen plays. Lamar Jackson plays. You go through camp and you play your best guy. You're going to divide everything. And a first-time head coach, here's the manual of how to get fired and how to have your team go down the toilet almost immediately. Right on the front page, you know what it is? Play multiple quarterbacks.
Okay. Oh, we disagree. Jeff Brown,
that's not high school.
I get it, but a lot of college guys do it, Danny, and we've done it with Orgy for the last 2 years, and I think the third year now, you're going to see more of it, and it gives the defensive coordinator a whole lot of headaches that he has to deal with all that stuff. You got to look at every single play that Orgy runs and what they run with Orgy. Everybody on that whole defensive staff and players have to understand it. Even if it's only 12, 15 plays a game, they got to be prepared for it. The coaches have to have a scheme for it, and it's a problem. Okay, so I'm telling you, I think Michigan is a more difficult football team with basically the same kind of things we did last year. If you look at the Ohio State game, I think Orgy had maybe 8 plays. I'm talking about kicking it up just a few if he's not the starter. But I think, like, again, I keep saying it. I think it hurts him because of what he does, because the coaches want to be there for Game 12, and I think that the fact that he has to be a running, you got to run those plays with him for him to be effective. But there's a lot of chances for him to take a lot of hits.
Why did Nick Saban play 2 quarterbacks when he had Jalen Milroe last year?
He felt well. Listen. Denny, if Alex Orgy shows the kind of ability to throw the football that, listen, all I'm going on is the spring game, the spring games we've seen of Alex Orgy and what we've seen of him in the game. So that's all I'm going on. That's all we got to go on.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hey, Denny, we haven't seen him in camp.
I don't know if you're underestimating, this factor or not, the leader on the team and how it can fracture the team. I do think you're underestimating, and maybe you don't care because you just put the blind.
Wait a minute. Hang on. Time out. Do you think the quarterback is the leader of a team?
Yeah.
I don't think so, that at all. In no way. That's a position, man. It is a position, just like left guard. No. You think that just because you play quarterback, the football team gravitates to that guy and they respect that person as a leader?
Absolutely.
I don't know what football team you played on. I ain't buying that. And I don't know what that's BS.
Okay.
Because I have listen, it's a position that is very important that guy you want to have a great game more than anybody on your team. You don't want that person to have a bad football game, but in terms of respect, in terms of motivating other players to run more, lift harder, practice harder, it got nothing to do with the fact that you play quarterback.
In
my eyes.
In the Harbaugh could have been fired in 2020. He wasn't. It was it was great that he was able to come back, obviously, and do what he did. But if Michigan would have lost in 21 to Ohio State, Harbaugh would have been fired. And yeah, it would have been pointed out that he couldn't beat Ohio State, and that would have been the number one reason. And that I would have agreed with that. And I also would have brought to the table is that I never would have guessed that he couldn't have developed a quarterback and had a quarterback. The third thing that I would have put up there is that playing McCarthy against Michigan State put him in the situation that obviously, put him overboard. Sure, he wasn't beating Ohio State, but losing to Michigan State, shuffling his quarterback because he had the 5-star and he felt like he had to get him in there.
I think he did it because it gave the defense problems. I don't think he, and at the same time he was developing the kid, but what did he do when JJ went in the game? He ran quarterback keep. He had him run because he was expendable. That's the things you do when you got a backup quarterback that can give a defense problems. He didn't he did let him throw. That's why I would have liked to seen them let Orji throw the football more. We'd be sitting here and I would be agreeing with you that do we have the next Lamar Jackson? And if Alex Orji is showing that to the coaches in camp, then he might be the starter game one. And then that's what we go with. And we just try to minimize how many runs you have with him, just like John Harbaugh has done with Lamar Jackson. They minimize the runs they have with him, Denny.
Scar, give me a quick snapshot of what the game plan or the game script. You playing it by ear? Are you putting them in short yardage situations? Are you letting them start the second quarter? You got these 10, 15
plays. I think it would just be just like they've done, only a little more extended. You let them start a series, or maybe you get the ball. There's a lot of ways to go about it, Danny. I played my backup quarterback in every single football game in the first half. That's a whole nother story, but I think there's a plan to it. Hey, I might be totally wrong, but I just firmly believe we're going to see two of them, and I just think it's going to be an extended Orji package if he's not the guy, because it gives the defense more problems to prepare for. That's why I think it's a good thing.
Here is the Marine City Gazette from 2008. Scarcelli blows it by playing multiple quarterbacks. I don't know. That wasn't the reason you lost to Marine City, but I don't know. All right, we're just on opposite sides.
Yeah, Danny. Listen, man. When a football team, when you go through what they go through, the lifting, the running, the grind of practice, and you see everybody, man. Left guards, right tackles, nose guards, defensive backs, safeties, and you in terms of who you respect as a player, and it's not so much the position you play. It could be a down kicker. You know what I mean? I played with a guy named Pat Moons. I respected the hell out of him as a player. So it's that's what I think, man. I just wanted to point that out. I think Michigan is really tough to defend. I want to be rolling into Columbus with two quarterbacks that can play, and the packages are blended in and make the Buckeyes deal with it. Because we were successful this past year with a minimum Orji package. You remember we ran that down in there? There was a time in the game we ran that, and we were successful. So I like it, and that's just what I think.
Yep. Scott asking about Joe Germain doing very well in a two quarterback system
That's a different. I know, but they didn't really run those guys. They didn't have a distinctly different package. It was a little bit with Stanley Jackson at that time. He was the runner, but I'm talking about a serious, totally change of game of scheme when Orji's in the game. All the quarterback power, all the quarterback ISO, you didn't have all that with Stanley Jackson. I understand what Scott's saying.
I don't, Scott. That's on the page right next to how do you get your coach fired? You look it up. You say Cooper and how he played Jermaine and Stanley Jackson. He had played Stanley Jackson, started him all year long until the Michigan game. And then he's like, obviously we're going to start Stanley and Joe's going to play. And then he flip-flopped it, and Jermaine threw a pick, and Jackson came in and threw the pick, and the rest is history.
Hey, Denny, listen, if we're talking about Tuttle and Davis Warren, no way am I talking about two quarterbacks, because they do the same thing. You got it? They don't give the defense anything. Okay? So what I'm talking about is two different type of guys, man. The scheme is totally different, and the wasn't Cade voted captain? Yes, he was, and I have played with some quarterbacks that I respected. Aaron, I don't know, if you played football, there are some quarterbacks that you respect more than other guys, and you vote for those guys as captain. Harbaugh was a captain; he was respected, but I just think it's overblown, in my opinion. This guy's the leader. Okay, I guess the definition of leader for me is a guy that motivates you, to come and practice hard and work hard and do all the little things, and it can come from a tight end, it can come from a running back. So it's all irrelevant in terms of what's going on with your team.
Yeah, the captaincy is a big deal. Michigan makes it a big deal where you hear every guy that gets voted say it's the greatest individual honor that they could have. And, when I was young, I was like, wow, man, that sounds like a pretty big deal, being in the captain. But yeah, when you see guys falter and then you see what happened with McNamara, and it's just a new age of football. It's like, should he have operated a little bit different being the captain at Michigan? But yeah, so that left a bad taste, I think, is what I'm trying to say.
But hey, the players respected him. They voted for him. Anyway, that's my take on that, Denny. That's what I would like to see. I would like to see two with a serious package, because that's a problem. So we'll leave on that. I saw a quote from Lane Kiffin getting after old Paul Finebaum. I am not a Paul Finebaum fan for the way he attacked Jim and attacked Michigan.
I love it.
I think he was totally unfair to Harbaugh. And we didn't have anybody really defending Jim when he was struggling. Finebaum was just tearing him up. I just like seeing Kiffin. Kiffin said this to Finebaum: I don't know what you're good at. He said that to Finebaum's face during their little interview at the SEC meetings. But I thought that was interesting. I like Lane Kiffin. I think he don't give a damn. He's a winner, man. I don't think he was ready when he got the Los Angeles Raider job, but he's really developed into a pretty good coach.
Yeah, well, you're doing nothing but pumping air into Finebaum's tires by mentioning him, and you got to be, if you're going to dish it out, it's not like he curled up into a ball. They're like, ooh, Lane, and guess what? He'll have that microphone, and Lane's not going to be sitting there 5 feet across from him. They falter, and Paul will be able to get, I don't know if he'll get the last word in on him, but he'll make sure that he remembers that part. So I don't know.
Danny, the media always gets the last word, man. Well, now it's different with social media, Twitter. You have a chance to respond. Back in the day, I remember, I forget how it was worded. You can never win with the media because they got gallons of ink. They run and control the papers. Now it's a little different. You can respond back if people get after you. So it's a little
good point. The pen used to be mightier than the sword, and the microphone there too. But now you can come back and
now everybody has an opportunity. We're here talking,
Yeah,
we ain't hurt. We ain't no big time ballers working for ESPN, but people want to get some wisdom. They don't want to listen to clowns. They listen to you and me, or you and Jerry, and wisdom.
Well, I think that there is a group of people out there that are like that, but by and large, sports fans, they just want to be entertained. And that's what Finebaum brings to the table. You took it really personal and what he had to say about Jim Harbaugh. If you're a Michigan fan, I hate Paul Finebaum. He's just over there having fun. That's what he's doing.
Denny, I think listen, when I think it affects recruiting, listen, I'm all good with some of this stuff. But when I think it gets to the point where it affects recruiting, because the kids they got dads and uncles and grandpas and they're all listening to this clown. Oh, you don't want to play in the Big Ten. You don't want to go to Michigan. Go play in the SEC. You don't think that I coached, man. I heard what some of these dads and uncles and grandpas are saying. No, you go play in the SEC, man. That's where the pros are coming. These guys are developing pros. Speaking of Alabama, another thought real quick, Denny. That a lot of these schools, Alabama, Saban was an afternoon type guy, afternoon practice. And DeBoer is going in the morning. A lot of these coaches are going with morning practices. And I just it's interesting. Get it done, and then you've got school in the afternoon. I think in a way it's kind of good because I remember as a player, if practice wasn't going good and Bo was upset, you might be there a little longer. You follow me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you got the morning practice and he's pissed off, well, he can't keep you there all day because these kids got to get to class. So those are the thoughts that were going through my mind in terms of morning or afternoon. It appears that Sharon Moore is an afternoon practice guy. But, Sharon Moore was he coached at Central Michigan when my nephew played there. And they went in the morning when I think Sharon Moore was coaching there. So, but as far as I know, he's going to be an afternoon guy. I just didn't know if you had any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a study in maybe each person's different where your biorhythm's at, when you do your best work. Are you looking at your schedule, how you want to peak, or is it just like, hey, I'm a morning person and I want to do it this way. And I always thought that when they're going into the submarine, I picture 2-a-days where these guys are basically just all day long committed to football before classes start. I mean, I don't know what the hour limits are and anything else, but I picture these guys going into the morning and looking at film and getting in their meeting rooms and looking at the stuff from the day before and having their plan and what they're going to do out on the practice field, and then getting out there rather than, hitting the practice field and then trying to absorb and being able to get that tape. I don't know how quickly you can get the cut-ups of what you want to look at. I think there's probably a lot of different things that go into it when it comes
I would think that this is kind of easy. These next 4 weeks, before school starts, it's when you got school and football. That's when the grind really starts. These kids got to go to school too, man. You got to get up, go to school. You're beat up, you're sore, and you got to go walk all over campus and just thought I'd mention that. We got the Connor Stallions thing coming up.
Now, what's your thoughts on that, Scar? Go ahead.
Hopefully Connor just, he doesn't throw anybody under the bus, and it just, this thing needs to be buried and done. And that's what I'm hoping for, that, the kid's a Navy guy. He was in the military, and he jumps on his sword for Michigan and then it doesn't have anything to say that isn't what we've already heard. That's kind of all I'm hoping for.
Right. I'll agree with you on that. And if you're a Michigan fan at this point, I think you back up and you say, Michigan won the national championship. They had to pay in real time for their sins of Connor Stallions with the suspension last year. And Michigan was able to persevere. And it was part of that season that they had to go through where they didn't have their coach. And an hour before, you get the commissioner yanking them essentially off the sideline 90 minutes before they're supposed to play Penn State. I mean, all that was pretty crazy. So, yeah, the quicker they can get that in the rear view mirror. But I see a lot of Michigan fans just having fun with it, thinking like, nothing's going to come of it. And, why not feel that way until something actually does come of it? And then you have to, then you can just be mad at, somebody else. But, you're right. Hopefully nothing, it would be interesting to know how he was able to, sneak on the sidelines. I would imagine he's going to say something that's at least going to have people like, oh, now do you believe, Star or whatever? But is he just coming out there repeating the same thing? Like, nope, it was all me. Michigan had nothing to do with it. So hopefully he does.
That's what we hope, man.
Right.
Hey, Denny, we're all into recruiting. This is a kid I've seen play, and I know people that play have sons that play with this kid. This kid Sadler at Cass Tech, Corey Sadler.
Mm-hmm.
This kid we got to get. He is a hellified athlete, defensive back, receiver, quarterback, point guard on the basketball team. So I'm just letting you know, this kid out of Cass Tech, we got to get him. I'm sure we probably got Bellamy on him and Sharon, and we got to get this kid out of Cass. So when you want to go see some good high school, you watch this kid at Cass. He's like a Mikey Sanistrel type kid as a defensive player. And he's probably even a little faster and quicker and more athletic than a Roman Wilson. So I really want to see Michigan close the deal on Corey. I said I wanted to see us get Avery Gatch. I want to see Corey. I want to lock down Cass Tech. I want to lock down Metro Detroit in the state of Michigan. Let Michigan State get who we don't want.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that. The kids from Cass Tech, Sadler, zero in on him. That's Scar's wisdom.
Then Will Johnson made a point, and this is really a statement of a smart guy, because I understand this statement. Will Johnson said, "I need to stay healthy all year. I need to stay healthy all year." Well, there's I totally understand it as a player, and there's some things that you hope you can do to avoid injury. The game's violent, but in practice, hopefully in practice, they're doing all the things to keep these guys healthy. I thought that was interesting. One of Will Johnson's goals was to stay healthy.
Yeah, well, last year, you remember, I don't know if he played a snap or two in those non-conference games. He barely played, and he was dealing with something. He gave an estimate. Did he say he was only 75% last year? Even
I didn't hear that.
So, yeah, I know, something like that. I mean, he wasn't healthy all year long. He was dealing with something. I think it was fall camp in what he had. And that's why when I hear a lot of people talk about Michigan, Will Johnson is Michigan's best corner since Charles Woodson, but people automatically want to put him out and have him play offense. And defense, there's a reason that, there's only one Charles Woodson. It's really hard to do.
Yeah, man, that's why those guys are paid a lot of money, man. Defensive backs that can cover. They're repaid a lot. Michigan go blue. We have a great future. Jaden Davis, Brady Hart, elite defense, running backs. And he thinks that the Michigan-Ohio State rival will be back and forth. I don't see one winning more than two in a row. To be honest, it's where we were for 15 years. We'll take back and forth in a minute, Denny, that we're competing with. If we can win, I mean, now with Oregon's, they got a lot to sell, man. They got big money, Nike over there. They got a crazy home field. Washington, crazy home field. So yeah, if we can win, 50%, 1/3 of every 3 years, that's good football. Danny, here's something I'm a football nut. I look at a lot of film. I talked about the Bentley Library. You go online, you want to look at the old coaches' films. They got them there from 1940 to 89. The films that we used to look at as players, they've got it all digitized. Anyway, I've been looking at. I love it. So I've been looking at film. You know what I looked at? I looked at the 1968 Michigan-Ohio State game, and then I looked at the 1969 Bo Schembechler's first year 60 against Ohio State. I looked at both of those games right back to back. You know what just hits you right in the face? Coaching. You see technique, Denny. You see an offensive line in unison, flat backs coming off the ball, knowing who they're blocking, playing fast, you just see a difference in coaching. Defensively, same thing, coordinated, guys where they're supposed to be. You saw a difference. We got beat by 50 in 68. Schembechler comes in and we beat him. Okay. I remember Jim Harbaugh's first football game. Then we went to Utah.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of people may not have noticed it, but I saw right away, a big difference in our offensive line play in terms of technique. There's some people that might question that, but from what we had prior to Jim coming, I saw a difference in technique offensively, a little bit defensively. Big technique change when we brought McDonald in. That's a whole nother story. So, Denny, here's what I'm looking for. what we got Sharon Moore. We're looking at game 1. And, I want to see absolutely zero change in technique offensively, offensive linemen, blocking, and same thing defensively. Technique. When I'm talking, I coached against guys, Denny, that were great programs for 25 years. And the offensive line coach retired. Just one guy. And now you play that same team, and they ain't the same team just because they lost the offensive line coach. You follow me?
Yeah.
So what I want to see from Michigan and from Sharon Moore, you can't be any better than what we've done. I think technique, scheme-wise, and all the things we've done. I want to see great technique. And then when I'm looking at Wink, I want to see the same damn thing with that we got from Mike Elston coaching D-line in terms of technique and guys knowing where the hell they're supposed to be. They are where they're supposed to be. They're sound, fundamentally sound. That's what I saw 68 to 69. It just hit you right in the face, man. The difference in the coaching.
Well, the offensive line play, that's going to be something because the last 3 years they performed so well. The offensive line, and then just seeing because they have the 5 new guys, even though they got some experience in there. How quickly they're able to come together with a first-time starting quarterback. I mean, if Sharon can put this together and come away and make the college football playoff, man, that'll be something great.
Yeah, and the play calling has been really, really good the last 3 years. I mean, Denny, the play calling in the 7 offensive linemen, fullbacks, and all the different formations we give, that gives people, that helps your offensive linemen, So anyway, that's what I really want to see. Okay, the question from Mark, will the technique continue? How does it look so far? Well, listen, I saw it in the spring game, and it looked like we're coached up just like we've been. But I want to see against Fresno, and I want to see against Texas, because I saw night and day from Don Brown what we were doing compared to Mike McDonald the first game against, and then especially when we played Washington. In fact, Sharon Moore said that's when the term smash came. Did you read his quote? He said it was in the Washington game when they came into Ann Arbor. Anyway, when I'm talking about technique, I'm looking for low man, flat backs, just guys that are the little things in coaching that's getting coached up. And then, Mark, you're right. Being in the right place, that was the greatest things defensively was from McDonald and Minter is they did a lot of stuff. We do a lot of stuff, Danny, that gives offensive problems schematically. We don't know if we're in man zone, bringing this dude, that guy, safeties, whatever, but we're not making mental mistakes. So that's like one of the greatest things that we were able to do defensively is we give you a lot of stuff, playing great technique, but we don't make mental mistakes. Because I know as a coach, you do too much stuff, your kids are going to be screwed up.
I love it. I love the football talk. You could tell that it's right around the corner. Scar, you brought your A game today. You had your fastball. You're in your stance. It was great listening to you go through it all, and we'll do it again next week.
Yeah, Danny, just so you know, the quarterback is another position player, man. I hear that line, oh, he led them to a Super Bowl. Trent Dilfer led the Baltimore Ravens to a Super Bowl. Didn't Trent Dilfer lead them to a Super Bowl? So he must have been a great player, right?
Well, out of damn near
they score like 3 points a game.
Well, the one thing you're doing here
is a great defense.
You're using a straw man argument. Out of the almost 60 Super Bowls that were played, Trent Dilfer, Joe Flacco, you might be able to come up with one
or two. I'll give you a lot.
I mean, I'll give you 50 that led their team to the Super Bowl.
I guarantee you, everybody that won the Super Bowl played great defense and they had a run game. You go through them all. They played great defense and they had a run game, and then they got some guy that can play quarterback too. Patriots always played great defense, always had a run game. Always. All right, Danny. Week from today, we buckle up, man. There's going to be some mamas crying, dropping those kids off next Wednesday.
All right. Well, I feel for them. Great job, Scar. Love talking with you. We'll do it again
All right,
next week.
man.
There
Go
he is.
Blue.
There he is. Smash that like button.